everyone. So I am back today with a wonderful layout using the brand new Heidi Swapp Storyline Chapters paper pads that I got in from a cherry on top. So there are actually like 5 different kinds of paper pads. I'm going to flip through this one and show you some of the patterns, give you an idea of what you get. There's some beautiful glittery paper in there. And let me just say, spoiler alert, I got these as part of my design team order for a cherry on top during last month, so in May. And I loved these project pads so much that with my June design team order, I ordered the rest of the project pads that I hadn't received with these two. So I got these 2 to try, and then I liked them so much that I got the rest of them. Just the colors. If you are someone who has a lot of boys in your life to scrapbook, but you are also someone who doesn't like very dark, woodsy patterns, or if you're someone who doesn't want to scrapbook with a ton of pink, but you don't mind a little bit, this is the kit for you. Trust me, if you fall into that category, you know who you are. This line ticks all those boxes. It does have some pink and some nice blush orangey shades, but it's not really over the top. Then it also has these gorgeous like yellows and these corally oranges, very, very pretty greens and grays. And the tones in this collection are not dark. I have a very hard time. I have found ways around it. I know what to do if I want to scrapbook with kits that tend to be on the dark toned side. But this one is just these colors and even the patterns, even the icons, just gorgeous. I really love it. I've kind of been looking for like my favorite collection of 2020. I haven't been super impressed with a lot of stuff that's come out. I think a lot has been really pretty and nice, but this is the first thing that I purchased that I'm like, I got it in the mail and started using it and went, oh, we need more of this. So you're probably going to see for the next 6 months lots of Heidi Swapp Chapters Storyline collection because, like I said, I ordered 2 of the patterns and then I went ahead and bought, or 2 of the pads, and then I went ahead and ordered the other 3. Okay, so you see me here cutting all these patterns. If you were watching, you saw how I kind of organized and decided what patterns I was going to use. I cut all of those patterns and the solid papers into rectangles that are 1.5 by 8. And this is easy, and it's going to look easy in the video, but creating my background was a little bit time consuming. So I'm taking all those strips of paper, I am roughing them up with my old but still fabulous Making Memories distressor tool. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to distress them up, and then I'm using Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo, my favorite, to catch the edges and rough up the edges a little bit more with my ink blending tool. And then I'm going to go ahead and start putting this layout together, which again is going to look easy on video, but actually was a bit time consuming. Although there's no like tools. This layout uses supplies that most scrapbookers just have in their arsenal of tools, so you don't need to run out and go buy anything that's that you probably don't already have. So what I'm doing here is I have these Doris thin foam strips, and it's a good thing that I buy lots and lots and lots of them because I'm going to use an entire pack of them on this layout. So for these distressed strips of paper, I have the first one, which is straight down on my white cardstock background, then which is a solid. Then the pattern one, I am putting lots of these foam strips on it, and I'm going to pop it up. I'm going to use these foam strips for all of my dimension because as I start to layer things in, you'll see that I need, if I use if I'm going to put something that is dimension, I want it to come just to the top of these strips. So I had more of the Doris thin foam strips than I had of any other of my foam adhesive. And so this is what we're using. So I'm going to, this is the plan. One right down to the paper. The second one is going to get popped up and is going to ever so slightly overlap the one next to it. And then I'm just going to keep going on. I'm going to put another another solid paper down in like the crevice, and then pop the next one up. So we're going to have this kind of dimensional strips with some crevices and some valleys. And then I'm just roughing up the edges, pulling them up a bit as I continue down across the entire piece of white cardstock. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the edge. So I made sure that the color I started with is the color I ended with. And it doesn't come out because you're overlapping things, and it's not going to come out perfectly. You'll end up with a little bit at the end, but that's okay. It didn't really seem to matter. It didn't make it look off or odd or anything. At least not to my eye. So if you feel like it does, then you can adjust those strips and how you put them on if you feel like you need to. So now I'm getting some shimmers colorings in Night Moves. So this is just a flat black mist. Any kind of flat black mist will work for you. If you were able to grab some of the black glossy accents in the Cherry on Top shop, that would work great. In fact, that would probably work better than this because those glossy accents don't soak in. But I wasn't able to get that one, and I have some shimmers. It's right here. I have it all the time. So, and it worked just great. I put a pretty liberal dose of splatter over there, and then I'm going to kind of start roughing up these little strips. So part of what I cut were two long strips. One's thicker than the other. One's a solid, one's a pattern. I'm doing the same thing with them, roughing them up with my Distress tool, and then getting them inked up with the oxide ink. And then I'm just kind of putting them together and creating a border for my top and bottom. So I always like, if I have a primarily central focal point on my layout, and I don't have a pattern paper, but it's a solid paper, I like to put these strips at the top and at the bottom to kind of rein it in, so you know where things kind of end. That's just my personal opinion, personal design aesthetic that I like, but you could do something else if you wanted to. You could even just leave it plain if you wanted to. It would be fine. So now we're going to start to get all of these elements together. So I have those two strips, one across the top, one across the bottom, and then here's where we're going to use up the rest of those foam strips. So I want to put my photos down, but I want them to sit up, right? And I don't want to have them kind of like dip down in. So you can see me here. I'm going to end up putting the foam strips. So I'm going to start kind of putting the foam strips there. And then what I'm going to end up actually doing is, it turns out that these foam strips are the exact height or exact length. They're 4 inches. So I don't have to cut them or anything, but I can put them down in those little valleys and then get them right where I need them to be for my photo to pop up to. A couple of notes as I start to put my clusters together. I went ahead and did my writing on this cardstock sticker that's part of the pad, and that will work as my journaling. There are both clear stickers and cardstock stickers in each of these pads. There don't seem to be an enormous amount. There actually seems to be more of the cardstock stickers, and then maybe just like one sheet of clear. And for me, the clear stickers are fine. I just put them down on white cardstock and trimmed around them. And for this one, for this particular layout, I only used one of the clear stickers. It was just a box, so it was really easy to kind of just trim around. And that's actually going to act as my title for this layout. So there is my title and my journaling, and I put some, I'm going to put some powder tool, my EH6S powder tool. I put some of that on the back of that one just because I want to layer and tuck things in, and I didn't want to tear that pattern paper by picking it up and putting it down, picking it up and putting it down. And until the clusters, so I put my clusters together, right? Glued them or stapled them or stickered them together. Like you can see here, decided where I wanted them. And that's when I went ahead and flipped them over and added the dimensional adhesive, because I'm going to add dimensional adhesive into those crevices so that everything pops up, and all the rest of most of the layout is up to the height of those of the strips of paper that are popped up. I hope that that makes sense for you. Oh, good. Here, you can see what I'm doing here. So you can see how up by the photos I have the 2 pieces of the adhesive down in the crevice, so that that title piece will be up to the same level as my photo. And then I have the foam adhesive put in such a way that it's going to go down into that crevice. So this layout from beginning to end, it took a little bit longer just because of maybe like the logistics of it. Trying to kind of like get things exactly where I want them. So you can see like I'm going to tuck this in, but I need it to be popped up. So I'm going to just kind of cut apart more foam tape and kind of put it up underneath the sticker. Like this was most of this layout. Maybe the time consuming part was just roughing up all those papers and then making sure everything got popped up in such a way that it was good. And not everything is popped up. If you look above my photo, you can see how that particular cluster is, oh, I just moved it. Anyway, there's a cluster up at the top that is like down under and in the crevice, which I really was playing with a lot of dimension on this particular layout. So I have a little cluster down at the bottom that says "So Fun." You can kind of see that it's upside down. And now I'm picking some stickers for the top. And now that I'm watching myself do this, I realize that this is where I used my clear stickers. So I think that clear stickers look really nice when you use them on white cardstock. So when you have a white cardstock background, you can kind of put those stickers on, and they kind of just like, it's almost like, it doesn't even look like a sticker anymore. It almost just looks like it's part of your page. So in that respect, I really do enjoy clear stickers. You definitely have to be just watchful of how you use them. And I always like to tell you guys if I get products that have clear stickers, because I know that there are some people who really don't like them and get very upset when they buy something for scrapbooking and they're like, clear stickers, because they can be a little difficult to use. But they're not, it's not impossible, and you can get really, really nice results with them. So this is going to be the end of this layout. I'm just looking through the paper pad, seeing if there's anything else I want to try to use or that I think will work with the colors I've chosen. And I think ultimately we're just going to go ahead and leave this one here. If you have not checked out these Storyline paper pads, they're fabulous. I love them. And A Cherry on Top has all of them in stock right now. So definitely go ahead and grab some. They're really not expensive either. I think they're $7.99. The big one is $10 or $11, and then the little ones are $7.99. But they're not 6 by 8. They're like 8.25 by. It's a weird size. Anyway, that will be the end of today's video. I will tell you very quickly as you stare at this little lovely close-up, because I forgot to tell you this before. I will not have videos for the next 3 days. I usually have a video on Friday, but I'm taking Friday off this week because next week, almost every day next week, I have 2 videos I need to do. So I'm going to work for the next 3 days, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.